Hey everyone, welcome to the show. We got a fun episode today. We have Aurelien Drieu joining us. He is the head of talent acquisition over at Qonto. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, James.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today.
With
I
pleasure.
really, yeah, I enjoyed our prep call. I guess it was better part of 6 weeks ago. Uh, and remember, I don't know if you remember this, but you asked me when we were recording, and I
Yeah.
told you, I was like, yeah, what do you mean? We're recording right now. You just looked at me like, what? Uh, but anyways, man, we made it. We made it. We're
Yeah.
here.
And I'm glad.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Um, so look, I mean, the conversation today is gonna be like professionally focused. That said, we'd still want to know kind of a brief backstory on you. So, still want to start with where you from, and you can give us just a quick little backstory on that real fast.
Sure. So I'm French. I was born and raised in Paris, to be honest. Very cliche, but it's true. It exists. And I'm working within the talent acquisition field, especially at Qonto. I joined the company 6 years and a half ago. I'm 37, so it's been a while now. I'm working within the TTF field. I was a headhunter right before Qonto, mostly focusing on hiring for different kind of industries, but non-tech industries mostly. So I discovered the tech world and the tech ecosystem while joining Qonto. So it was very new for me, and I've always worked within the TA and talent acquisition and hiring field. And what is very funny is that I decided to work within talent acquisition after I was doing fundraising in the street. So I don't know if you have such a thing in the US, but I was doing fundraising in the street in the Parisian streets for Croix-Rouge Française, so French Red Cross. And I met a headhunter at that time. I was pretty lost, to be honest. I didn't know what I was about to do with my life. And I met this guy. I don't even know who he is. I don't even remember who's this guy is. And we ended up discussing like for maybe an hour and a half about what he was doing at the moment. And I found it extremely exciting and interesting. And I decided to do everything I can to work in that field. And here am I.
Okay, so you've been there for about 7 years at your current company, and
Yeah.
in that time, you've received several promotions, which is really cool and impressive. And
Yeah.
you've been with the company through pretty substantial growth. So maybe you could give our audience a lay of the land
Sure.
and where the company's at, and how long you've been, like what growth you've been part of over
Of
the
course.
past several years.
So maybe it would be relevant to give a little bit more information about Qonto. So Qonto is
Yeah.
a fintech, European fintech, has been founded in France in 2016, 2017. We have a very big European market at the moment. We have eight countries, so eight different markets, nothing but Europe and Eurozone, which is very important. And we are focusing on B2B, so SMEs, SMBs. It's a business finance management solution, something like that. So business account and financial tools. The aim is to revolution the banking world for the SMEs and SMBs. That said, I was lucky enough to join the company at the very beginning. We were only at that time 200 employees, FTEs, when I joined the company. Now we are 1,700, so 1,700 people. And since I joined, I think we hired something like more than 3,000 people in 6 years and a half. And I was lucky enough to join this company. I decided to join it because the people I met throughout the hiring process were very, very impressive to me. And I didn't explicitly want to join a fintech, to be honest. I decided to do so because of the people I met. And I think this is something extremely important in our culture and who is working at Qonto at the moment. And when I joined the HR team, we were, I think, around 10 people. Now we have a pretty big HR team in proportion to the number of people who is working at Qonto at the moment. Now we have 80 or 90 people working within the HR team. So it's huge. And focusing on the TA team, we were four recruiters or five, something like this. And now I'm responsible for the full talent acquisition topics. I'm reporting directly to Sarah, our chief people officer, and I'm responsible for 25-ish recruiters team divided in three main verticals. So I joined the company as a recruiter, as a talent acquisition manager. Then I got promoted first level lead, team lead, then senior team lead, and now I'm the head of talent acquisition.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. That's very helpful. So there's a lot of things that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah,
Just trying to think about like the best place to start. I mean, it sounds like right now, like let's just talk about like one place I like to start is just asking people like what their obsession is for 2026, like the main problem or opportunity that you're just really dialed in on. So let's start there.
yeah. So our obsession in 2026, I think it's common to every other companies. It's AI first, and how we ensure as a TA team we hire as fast as the business need, and we maintain this speed and quality also when it comes to hiring. We've been exactly the same thing we've been doing over the past 6 years and a half, but now it's even more challenging because you got AI and it brings a lot of things on the table. We can discuss it a little bit later, but also now we are you run faster when you are 200 people versus when you are 1,700. So the thing is, how can we be as fast now as we were 6 years ago? And that's our obsession. But from a company perspective, it is an obsession, not only TA. It's directly linked to our culture. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. So let's start with we'll get into AI, but let's
Yeah.
start with when you think about increasing speed or velocity for your TA motion in 2026. I mean, maybe that's incorporating AI, but it sounds like you do want to accelerate. When you think about solving for that, what comes to mind?
AI wise, so it's a very broad topic, to be honest. Because, of course, as a team, we need to make sure we use AI more and more, but not at every cost. It means we use it properly. So the aim is not to replace our brain, it's rather to augment ourselves and augment our brain. So making sure we are using AI for all the tasks which doesn't bring a lot of quality from a hiring perspective, at least. So when it comes to writing job ads, writing case studies, scorecards, and interview guides, also improve the kind of material we are sharing with candidates on a daily basis when we are pitching equity and a lot of things, our compensation policy, for instance. So it's as a team something very common, not only because we are TA, but just because we are a team working within a company. But when you are a TA, when you think about AI, what is extremely important is how you make sure you bring and you hire the right people who are AI fluent the way we expect. So we have kind of a consistency when it comes to what point we want to reach and making sure these people we are about to hire will fit this culture also when it comes to AI. Not only about our values, leadership principles, and so on and so forth. And especially now, because with I think it's very easy or way easier now to pretend skills wise. Until like maybe a few months ago, what we were doing, so all our hiring processes have a case study. So you cannot be hired at Qonto without working on a case study. It was rather a take-home exercise until a few months ago, but with AI, everyone can pretend. Now we had to shape and to rethink our hiring process to avoid having this kind of people who will pretend, and then when they join the company, we realize without AI they are nothing. It's a shortcut. They are not nothing, but they are not as good as we could have expected after the hiring process. So there are
Definitely.
two kind of things, very very important and very challenging.
So when you think about implementing AI into your systems this year, how are you currently leveraging it, and what do you want to implement before the end of the year?
Before the end of the year. So until even like 3 months ago, we were using a French product, AI product called Dust.
Oh, I know
Um,
Dust.
you know Dust. It's very, very good, to be honest.
Yeah.
We started using AI from Dust and also from an AI note taker tool, so free advertising for a product called MetaView.
Oh,
which is
I know
a
MetaView. So Sile, the CEO, has been on the show, and also Reese, bachelor
ah
from. But yeah, Sile. So MetaView. Yeah, we've been talking about potentially partnering up with them on some events in the U.S. market for my companies.
they build
Yeah.
great products, and we are still using MetaView. It's very, very impressive, to be honest. So this note taking tool, AI note taker tool, has been a game changer for us because it allows you to focus on what the candidate is saying instead of focusing on, do I take notes properly? Do I miss something? Which is game changer for a TAM. We were using Dust. We created a AI sub AI agent to help us on different kind of tasks. And after we used a little bit of ChatGPT, of course, and now we are using Claude and Notion AI because we are also using Notion a lot. So we are going from Dust to Claude at that time and Notion AI, and same logic. The aim is to have kind of a AI agent library to give autonomy to everyone, but they have the right skills in their AI tools to
Mm.
use it properly and to go even faster without losing quality. And also, when it comes to the ATS we are using, so I won't give any name here, but we are not very satisfied with our current ATS when it comes to AI features, and that's why we are exploring and benchmarking other ATS. But this is something we are focusing on 2026 because this is the biggest gap we are observing at the moment on our ATS when it comes to AI, and there are a lot of stuff as well. So we have tackled most of the tasks, like the backend tasks, not candidates experience or candidates facing. Now we are benchmarking more and more products for candidates facing experience or tasks. For instance, we are testing several AI interviewer agents. I'm not very convinced at the moment, to be honest, because I'm very much into candidate experience and this kind of human touch we are known for. This is one of our strengths, and my fear, my concern is that if we don't pick the right product, we might decrease or impact negatively the kind of candidate experience we are offering on a daily basis. And I think we are very good at candidate experience at the moment. So
Sure.
I'm very careful with that.
Well, this is a good one. So let's slow down on this one. I'm curious. How many inbound applications do you guys get per month?
Uh, Average, so since beginning of the year, so we are more or less mid-May, I think we've received between 35 and 40,000 applications. So maybe a little bit less. I'd say over 20K, over 20,000
So
application.
20,000 divided by 5 months, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, and on no, so
So
it's
roughly 4,000 a month ish, or
yeah, I would say between 5 and 7,000 a month
oh,
average.
5 and 7. Okay. So the reason I asked is I actually one of my companies is an AI interviewer. And so we can have like a pretty interesting conversation here. So I'm gonna ask some questions for you real fast, and
So
then
it's a
that's gonna
commercial call now.
no, dude. I just like, but this is like we could get a little bit more in depth here.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm not pitching, but it's like it's very relevant to our conversation. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, so if you're doing 5 to 7,000, like when I'm building that company, which is very early stage, and we're gonna actually be announcing this, but as of I haven't even like everyone my team know because we're gonna celebrate later, but they're probably gonna overhear me. But we officially signed TaskRabbit, which is a pretty big company in the U.S.
Yeah.
market to move forward with June, and we're gonna be
That's
hopefully making some other announcements very shortly on some other
nice.
big customers. So very excited about that. We kick off with them on Friday. A lot of companies, a lot of companies that we're talking to are getting to between 10 to 20% of their inbound applicants, and roughly like 80% they're not even getting to.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think it's even less for us, to be
right.
honest.
I mean, so like, like that's like a huge problem. And so I
Yeah,
think
I
what's
agree.
what we're seeing in the market right now, just so you know, is like a lot of companies last year and even still now are like hesitant to move forward with like these AI interviewers. But candidate feedback is starting to come back, and it's not even unique to June, frankly. I'd love to say it is, but the average like candidate review like rating is like 4.5 out of 5 star. And maybe that's also because we're in the tech industry, but It's like
Nice.
these companies are not getting to 80% of the profiles that are applying. And like maybe there's a low hit rate in terms of how many folks they can hire from that. But there's a few good hires in there that companies aren't getting
Sure.
to. So we are
And
seeing greater adoption. Like I would just say like I started building June like 18 months ago. And in the past like month and a half, our pipeline has exploded like in terms of companies like starting to adopt this type of technology. So it's just interesting. But it's like I think every recruiting leader it has your exact concern. It's like from a candidate experience branding perspective, like is this going to hurt my business?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just
Oh,
interesting, right? It's
yeah, definitely. For the record, in 2025, 50% of our recruitments came from inbound. So this is something
really
we cannot avoid.
wow.
25% ish were from outbound and 25% came from referrals. So it
That's
doesn't
so
mean,
efficient.
yeah, but it doesn't mean uh, we'll stick to these kind of figures in 2026. My concern with inbound, which is absolutely precious to all companies, to be honest, we will never uh, want inbound to reach 0 or 10%. This is not our objective. However, I think this is a mix. When you have so many people to hire in a very short period of time, of course, the shortcut is to lean on inbound. But when you lean on inbound too much, in the end, you hire the best people out of those who came to you. You didn't hire the best people you reached out to. So it doesn't mean the people we have hired through inbound are not good enough. Absolutely not. But maybe, and we'll never know, maybe we could have hired even better people thanks to outbound. But when you don't have enough time to focus on outbound and headhunting, because you have so much inbound, you need to sort out like thousands of resumes. So to be honest, this is an assumptions, but that's my point of view. It doesn't mean I'm right.
No, dude, I think you're right, and I think most talent leaders agree with you. And like, I think I think that's why more people are automating it because it's like the
Yeah.
senior recruiters can focus on
Outbound.
strategic outbound
Yeah.
sourcing, and we can get to all of the applicants same day and give them a same day response, filter through, do high level match ratings, create short lists. And even
Sure.
like the tech that's coming out now with AI interviews, like they can help move stages and they can also like set up and do the scheduling too. So it's
Yeah.
getting pretty
Yeah.
like early last year, the tech kind of was lacking, frankly. Like it was not, but it's getting like companies are starting to get that down. Uh,
What
so I
we are
don't know.
doing
It's interesting.
also,
Yeah.
what we are doing also to allow recruiters to rather lean on outbound than inbound. So you have
Hmm.
many things to discuss here. Our choice, our opinion at Qonto is within my team, we have three main verticals. So two verticals focusing. So we just divided the departments we have, and we have one sub TA team working on tech, data, and product hiring globally. One vertical working on growth, operations, and corporate departments. So they are recruiting for these departments. And we have a third smaller vertical. It's like the internal executive search team, because the way you hire executive profile is
Hmm.
absolutely not the same kind of skills you need as a
Yeah.
recruiter, compare with when you have to hire like very a lot of positions or recurring positions. So thanks to that, we isolated the exact topic, and then we allowed the other times working on maybe junior, intermediate, senior, or even very senior but not exec recruiters to have more uh, time working on outbound. However, you have also like different skills within the TA team. Some recruiters really love outbound because they know how to do it. They know what kind of sourcing message work well depending on each position. Some others TA are not very comfortable with this option. So it's not only a black or white situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's why, as a TA leader, you have to make sure everyone is uh, constantly learning, especially on outbound. But for inbound, I think the challenge at the moment, you have two things from what I think. you have the screening phase. So AI can help you definitely. My concern, I don't know how much AI is mature on that point, but knowing how fast AI improves, I'm not concerned. If it's not mature now, maybe it will be more mature in 2 weeks from now. It's scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the screening phase, my concern is that AI maybe is not as efficient as the human eye, especially when you know very well your company. And sometimes, even though you don't have the right keywords on the resume, maybe you know someone who worked. I don't know. This candidate worked at a specific company, and you know this company very well, and you can like ref check these candidates. But AI cannot know that. It's something you will know a little bit more. Maybe you can also build your AI product according to that to make sure the product will be even better. But this is still a challenge to me, to be honest, and I'm a little bit afraid of um, not seeing the right candidates only because the AI is leaning on keywords. Because resumes
Yeah.
are not always the best resumes ever. The
Yeah,
way
so
it's down.
this is something that's interesting. So there's some companies like MetaView, and there's even like companies that I we have very close partnerships with, with Gem, which I probably have the tightest partnership with, that they're doing like AI resume matching.
Yeah,
And
no,
my concern with like the like AI resume matching is that anybody can put any keywords.
that's why.
And like there's also people are like they're punching in their resume into AI along with the job description and saying like, hey, make my job description tailored to this job. And I
Yeah.
was speaking with a TA leader like a week ago who's actually local in Northern Virginia, which outside the DC market where I am. And she said that she knows that candidates are putting their resumes into AI to alter for the JD because she'll the resume matching services will come back saying people are 100% match. And she's
So you
like,
ask AI to review AI.
right. So like that's why I like AI interviewing versus resume matching because
I
like
agree.
the resume matching it's like I don't know. I just find it to be less
I agree, and
effective.
that's why for now at least, and until the AI screening product is way better.
Resume matching, like yeah,
Yeah,
that
resume matching or
yeah,
whatever. But I think, and that's why I prefer first to focus on AI interviewing tool rather than like resume matching.
yeah,
Because and so far it takes time, but if we got like 100K resume in 1 year, all of them will be reviewed by the human eye,
yeah,
which is even better from a candidate perspective, I think.
yeah, for sure. I mean, like if you can get like humans reviewing like the most relevant people, like that's ultimately like the what we're targeting. Like we were doing so like with TaskRabbit, for instance, on like the AI interviewing front, they're getting and I've already discussed with them like we're allowed to discuss this publicly. So that's actually part of our agreement. You know, we were like, hey, we'll give you guys a discount if we could like talk about you guys. But yeah, so they're getting like 3,000 applicants a month in the US market, and by implementing June, they're getting an additional 230 hours of productivity a month, which is like one and a half full-time recruiters. Because when you factor in all the time it would take to manage all the inbounds and all that kind of stuff, because there's like literally 80% of people they literally cannot get to. Like they're just not able to engage with. Like,
Yeah,
so it's kind of interesting like when I'm looking at the AI landscape of okay, you have resume matching, you have AI sourcing, which I would love to talk about in a minute actually. Yeah, but the resume matching, you have AI sourcing, you have AI interviewing, you have AI note takers,
yeah,
like what MetaView can do or like a Bright Hire can do, I
yeah,
suppose.
definitely. Yeah,
So
and you have
it's
more and more features as well. Now, what I really want the AI to bring is a good way for us to not to make decision for us, but to help us make decision. I think that's the kind of the razor blade we're on at the moment, and it's very difficult to find the right balance. That's the challenging thing to me, at least, as a TA team.
yeah. Yeah, finding the right balance is tough, and that's it's like I think the way that I'm sort of thinking about it is like I want my recruiters for instance, because I also run an RPO firm, like I want my recruiters focused on the relationships. So
Exactly.
like the relationships, the hiring managers, like driving alignment with the team, making sure we have the right profile that's stage appropriate, which I know
Yeah,
is something you're working on right now, like offers, like all in
agree with you.
outbound sourcing. Like I want
Sure.
them like doing that, so
And yeah, and the more you partner with your hiring manager, the more referrals you can get as well.
yeah, for sure. It's not always possible, but it's like the more I can back channel and get references, not even just like the like, well, first off, with references, I always require references from previous direct managers. So they
Yeah,
have to be somebody who actually managed them. But I also like to go through my network and to see like
sure.
who do we know that's like the same
Agree.
there's and this is actually kind of a good segue into to sourcing like AI functionalities and there's like two companies that right now that I'm kind of looking at. So Jim has some pretty cool AI sourcing, and then in the US market, I don't know how big these guys are in Europe, but Juicebox, have you guys heard of Juicebox
Maybe
over there?
only by name, but I'm not sure. I discuss with some companies using it at the moment.
Well, so like so they're actually somewhat like competitive at the moment. And so we're but I recently did a demo of Juicebox and I use Gem internally for my RPO firm. So
Okay,
it's like I've kind of been able to get a sense for both products, and basically what they're doing is they're helping companies deleverage off of LinkedIn recruiters. So like
really
you can just run your searches within these AI sourcing and it'll pull LinkedIn, but it's also going to pull from like GitHub or other tools for
nice.
like technical engineers. So you can literally just create all your lists within Juicebox or within Gym, and you can do your outreach campaigns
So you
within
save a
those
lot of
tools
time.
as yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of interesting because everybody's sort of fed up with the LinkedIn monopoly,
yeah,
and we're all just kind of stuck with. I'll say it, like,
yeah.
we're all fed
Let's
up with
say
it.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get blacklisted now. They're gonna kick my ass off. Um, but yeah, I'm curious, like for like, are you guys thinking about like AI sourcing tech yet, or like what are your thoughts?
Unfortunately, no, because we haven't found yet a very powerful product. We've been testing a few. We've tested a few, but so far the tests were not very satisfying, to be honest. And
Yeah,
it's a pity and it's a shame because when we'll find something very relevant, this is something you cannot avoid because it will be just like the note taker tool was a game changer. This one will be an even more powerful one. But I agree with you. I think the AI features on LinkedIn is very disappointing, to be honest, because they have gold into their hands. They could do something
yeah.
extremely
What
powerful.
they're not even doing like strategic acquisitions. Like, why aren't they? It's
Yeah.
like they don't even.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
to me,
know who's running the show
development-wise,
over
there
there.
are two kind of things. How much AI can help you identify and source the relevant people aligned with your persona. And then when it comes to referrals, like to have a product able to screen and to scrap your all the network, the LinkedIn network of the people working in your current company, and to make connections. Maybe you should ask this guy,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. I think this is the two main things where AI could definitely help.
So check this out. So Juicebox, and I don't know if Jim does this, but Juicebox just released a
Okay,
feature where it's like network recruiting. So when you create like it gives you a short list of like 200 people that fit your criteria, and then all of your employees in the company attach like their LinkedIn profile, so it's able to see
nice.
who's connected.
Connections.
But
Nice.
it's also like it gives a confidence score because obviously we're all connected with people that we don't know. And so what it does is for instance, if it's a high confidence score, it'll say they went to university together, they worked at two of the same companies together. Then they're like, okay, high confidence, they actually might know each other versus like if they're just connected, but there's no overlap in the companies they worked for, or they didn't work at the same companies at the same time, or they didn't go to college together, then it's going to give it a low confidence
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
score. So like you can through Juicebox, you can actually like
Okay.
see who's
I will
connected and
write
reach
it
out
down.
to the employee.
Juice
You're
box in one word.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you want, I can introduce you to their CEO.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
And
Yeah,
same way, I'd be curious to see if Jim has that feature too. I can also introduce you over there if you want. But anyways, it's just interesting because like they're going like that layer deeper on like the AI sourcing too. It's like, hey, let's create short lists. Let's see who we can back channel from. Let's give you a confidence score, and you can reach out to the employee and ask for intros. And that's like
yeah.
doing that manually would just take freaking forever.
or it will take like weeks. And if you multiply by the number of jobs you have to hire for, it's a decade.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
can do it in 1 hour or 2 days instead of 3 months, frankly speaking, I think it's worth the cost.
Yeah, it's like so that's actually so for my RPO firm, like one thing I've tasked my team with like over the past week, it's like, all right, guys, for sourcing, I want us to figure out how do we build pipeline twice as fast with
Yeah,
twice as many candidates in half the time. Like
with
and
the
I don't
same level of quality and
yeah,
even more.
right. Yeah, of course, of course. I just like to me it's like and I don't know if that's 100% possible, but I'm like that's the goal. Try to figure this out and let's
If
see
not
what we can
yet, I think
implement.
it will be soon
Yeah,
enough.
because I don't want my recruit like even so the first thing is like okay let me automate inbound that's like relatively easy. Then it's like okay how do we like for sourcing how do we make that motion as efficient as possible? So then again it's like our recruiters can focus on like deep qualification, relationship, hiring
Yeah.
manager alignment and feedback. Like so sourcing is like the next thing I'm trying to tackle.
And I'm curious, how do you make sure you're hiring people with the right AI fluency skills?
Yeah, so that's something that
It's not to turn the interview. Huh?
no yeah dude I like that please yeah I mean that's something that like I am starting to think about more. Honestly, it's not something I've really dived into yet. I do have a friend who just started a company called the Noah AI and they're doing AI certifications.
Ah,
So
nice.
they're hired by for like talent acquisition leaders and then the talent acquisition leaders like will send out saying, "Hey, we need you to complete XYZ coursework or
Nice.
complete some certification." So I'm like, that could be interesting. Like
Sure.
he's very early stages right now. I think he's got 10 to 20 employees. So I might look into that, but I mean, I think it could also just be like, I mean, you probably know way more about this than I do, but I would assume like sort of like how we give technical tests to engineers, maybe we just start doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
What, how are
that's
you guys doing that?
uh, for the record, I saw a very interesting article from Zapier. Uh,
Hmm.
it seems, from what I remember, they have this kind of label internally, like AI fluent or whatever, and they are using when they hire people. But don't get me wrong, I'm not sure about that. I don't want to.
I
Uh,
saw some post that they made
yeah,
about like they're
and
doing
I found
yeah.
it extremely interesting. So everything is happening at the same time. So you need to find that's what is very exciting, but and very exhausting at the same time. And both are linked, obviously. So you need to pick your battle. My
Yeah.
next battle will be and enfin, is currently how we make sure we hire the right people with the right AI fluency skills. So at the moment, I think it comes from the case study first, especially when you are hiring developers, software engineers, because when you are doing a live code exercise rather than a take home exercise, it changes everything because you see how much this person is able to work, I would say, under pressure. Don't get me wrong, the interview exercise is always more stressful than a random day working in a company. But this is extremely important because you can do kind of this ping pong game. You can give feedback real time and ask questions live and so on. So I think it's extremely important. But we explicitly throughout the hiring process tell people, meaning candidates, we are explicitly expecting them to use AI for the case study because let's avoid having the elephant in the room. Of course, everyone will use it. So we want them to tell us how they use AI, why, what for, and why did they decide in the end to send that, meaning to keep this part AI, send them and maybe deleted other stuff. So to understand how they think, how they work with AI, and how if they work with it properly, at least from what we want, from what we expect, and how they play with AI, and in the end, the outcome must also be linked to their decision-making power and ability.
Yeah.
So this is of course, it depends on the teams. When you are hiring software engineers or when you are hiring designers or brand managers, it's not the same. So it's on every hiring manager's shoulder to think about that, but it's also very extremely important and difficult to ask some hiring manager who are maybe at that precise moment not even very strong on AI to assess the AI fluency of the candidates.
Right.
You know
That
what I mean? So
that's
it's extremely challenging.
so okay, so I have a lot of questions here, and this is actually I'd love to slow down on this topic because believe it or not, I don't think like we've had a lot of brilliant TA leaders on the show, including the companies we've talked about. We've had Juicebox CEO, Gym CEO, we've had MetaView CEO, we've had Zapier's VP of talent acquisition. So it's like, we're operating in this ecosystem, but what's kind of wild, man, is like this is the first conversation that we've had on the show where somebody's bringing up like, hey, we're testing people for AI fluency, and like that's sort of my obsession for this year. So that's a standout for you, by the way. So just like I think that's amazing, and you're definitely
Thank
ahead
you.
of the curve. So your company's very lucky to have somebody in your role thinking that way.
I'm not the only one, but thank
Well,
you.
yeah, no, but it's
I
like
will spread the word.
they obviously have the right person in the seat. So, I'm curious, when it comes to this, have you already implemented this? Like they're already doing the
No,
case studies now, or
no,
when
for
is
now,
that?
this is in our brain. We haven't
Okay,
implemented concrete stuff, but this is on the table, and we need to we need to have something very operational and strong enough also to maintain the candidate experience because we don't want this to have a negative impact on the candidate experience because it's crucial. So far,
yeah.
it's rather we pitch it, but it's very difficult to materialize everything and to onboard all hiring managers.
I guess
Uh,
like in the short term, you could just ask people like, have you built your own like
that's what we are doing.
agents? And
That's
like,
what we are doing.
I mean, I don't know if this is like, because I know people would probably kind of BS it, but you could just be like, hey, can you do a share screen and show me?
No,
Like,
but most of the time,
yeah,
this is what we target. So,
yeah,
have you ever built something? Have you ever built an AI agent? Yes. Okay, show me.
yeah,
And
do a
even
share screen.
sometimes, yeah, share your screen. And even sometimes at the HR interview, so first step of the process, and it's not only about the live case study. It's from the very beginning
Yeah,
because you cannot pretend. If you say yes and if you lie, okay, show me maybe, or what for, or how did you make sure over the past 6 months you improve your daily basis or you avoid as much pain in your daily work as you could thanks to AI? Why? So you have many questions you can ask to spot
yeah, I would
the
like,
liars.
I think it's like, so one of the things that I'm like a huge advocate of like not doing very much is I think sometimes recruiters coach candidates too much on what to expect. And I'm like it's a balancing act, but like I specifically tell my like for people that I'm hiring, I'm like don't like tell them what I'm going to talk to them about. Like I want to hear like organic answers on the fly. I know every interview is different. I'm just saying I think sometimes we coach people too much as recruiters.
I agree, but
And
I think if you find the right balance, it's fair
the
because
right balance, yeah, but like I think it's just
and
done
it's
too
very
much.
difficult and it's subjective as well. So if you
Yeah.
tell someone, we will ask you some questions about AI rather than you must share your screen, show us what you've built, there is a difference. So you
Yeah.
feel a little bit prepared, but you don't have the answer. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm just like, it'd be kind of cool. I think so. This is super interesting because now I'm thinking about how to implement this like for all my customers and internally. This is awesome. I think what like you're right though. I think because you can't really necessarily trust in terms of if you want to standardize it across the organization for it to be reviewed by hiring managers that are going to have different levels of fluency and technical capabilities. So it's like it could be part of the recruiter screen, uh, which takes more time. But like, I'm also kind of a huge advocate. Like, there's been times where the recruiter interviews is actually I've done it in two interviews where somebody speaks with a recruiter twice, and we get more in depth in the second call. I don't know if it would be that, but like, I think that it should be done within the TA team personally.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm thinking out loud, but maybe isn't it interesting to have to add a step in the hiring process, just AI focus interview?
Yeah.
it should be diluted throughout the process. But if you need to dig specifically into AI and what they are doing, and if you think it's worth it, it's worth it. Depending also on the job specificities, because for a brand manager versus a backend, it's concretely not exactly the same level of AI fluency you can expect, but still. But since AI will have so much impact on all kind of jobs, this is something, if we TA leaders don't ask explicitly our teams, TA teams and hiring managers, not to ask questions about AI, and not only about do you use AI, yes or no, good or bad, we are doing a strong mistake. We are making a strong mistake.
Yeah, yeah. This is I kind of like, I mean, I don't know if this is too much coaching, but you could also, yeah, and I would have to think about the right amount of like context to share with cans ahead of time. But yeah, I do think that having them like being able to prove that they can figure it out how to build like their own agents, even if like hypothetically they haven't in the past, that honestly matters less to me than their capabilities of learning it and doing it fast.
Yeah, it can be also automation you put
Right.
in place. It can be a lot of stuff. It's not only about AI agent, at least, and
Yeah.
maybe sometimes, unfortunately, depending on the company you are working for, maybe the company didn't give you the right AI tools, but in your private life, you were so curious,
Yeah,
you
you
wanted to
created
use
your own
AI.
app for
Yeah, it's not. Oh, I don't want candidates to be. We don't want. I don't want us to be biased because sometimes you don't have equal chances as employees.
sure.
So that's
Yeah.
why it's not only about did you create AI, but maybe no, I didn't have access to all the tools, but still, my idea would like to do that, and I managed to do some automations and so on, even in my private
Yeah,
life.
I guess I would also like and I don't know, as you said, like there's a kind of a balancing act in coaching. I guess like if somebody hadn't done something like that, then I would say like, all right, put something together in a few days and show it to me. And it's like kind of irrelevant how they get there. The idea is like
Yeah,
if they can get there in a few days, however they got there, and it
I
proves that
agree.
they can do it. So it's like I don't care what resource they leverage to get there. I just want to know if they could.
And
Like, you
yeah,
know.
and are they data oriented enough to be able to share the improvement? Okay, I was
Yeah.
there. I reached that point because of that. And the way you think and the
Yeah,
mindset is
that's
totally different.
I
And I agree with you. I think the TAM, so it also depends on your company point of view and culture regarding their vision of talent acquisition. I know in some companies, unfortunately, talent acquisition managers are seen as CV providers, unfortunately. At Qonto, we are very lucky. We are lucky enough to have a strong voice within the company, and we are in charge of diffusing when it comes to AI in talent acquisition to coach hiring manager and to onboard them on that matter. And I think it should come from the TA team. Otherwise, you won't be consistent, and you will have different level of consistency and in each team. I think it's
yeah.
very important.
I think the data aspect is something that like people thinking in terms of outcomes and metrics is something that's challenging across the board. It's actually something I'm up leveling my RPO team to do. It's like even like as recruiters, like there's I think recruiters are really good at saying, "Hey, this is the blocker. This it's too hard to schedule, or it's too, we don't have like people aren't in the comp range or whatever." But it's like I think where a lot of folks struggle is actually putting together like the data, not only around like quantifying it, but
Yeah,
also quantifying the impact. Like
I agree.
it's so huge. It's like it's different saying like, "Hey, we're behind on XYZ roles because I was working on these roles that were put on hold," saying little
I
stuff
agree.
like
You're right.
it's
You're
like
right.
just saying, look, 30% of my time in the past quarter has been working on roles that have put on hold, and that's hurted my productivity on the priority roles by I've been able to get out X amount less messages. I've been able to screen X amount less people, and we're extending our time to fill by 20 plus days because of all the changes we're making to the hiring plan. So it's like it quantifies impact. It's hard to get people that like think like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I
Like the
agree. But it depends also on your job. As a TA, you have like how many people did I hire over the past three
right.
months? When you are working on brand, it's maybe a little bit more difficult when you are writing line of codes. Maybe it's easier to. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not an expert of everything, of course.
sure.
Um, so I agree with you, but at least the mindset, if you try to measure it, it shows something.
Yeah. Find a way to measure it. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and if
Even
we
if you
can't, yeah,
fail, at least you
right.
test and you are able to say, I tested that and this, but I can't find the right model at the
Yeah,
moment, but
yeah,
I'm
that's exactly it. Like, but the
exactly.
motion is like, look, like the data is, and often like a lot of roles in business, like the data is imperfect. Like
I
you
agree.
try to collect as much data as you can, and then you sort of have to operate with some assumptions, and you kind of have to place a bet. And you're right though. Like I think getting a feedback from a candidate saying like, well, it's hard to track this type of attribution for this aspect of the role or whatever else. Like, well, then we explain to me why. And if you can explain to me why it's hard to do that, either they're
Of course.
right or they're wrong. And if they're right, that's going to prove to you that they have like to some extent a data oriented mindset as well. I think it's like there's this big focus on AI this year, but at the end of the day, like you could argue like one lens to look at business is it's just transferring data. Like that's
Exactly.
literally all like everything is. So it's the quality of AI is only going to be as good as the quality of the data that you're giving it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I
it's
agree with
there's
you. I fully agree with you.
I think that data fluency is like, and that analytical mindset kind of goes hand in hand with ability to execute AI systems.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and that's why
Yeah.
it's not a black or white thing.
Yeah.
And you need to find the right the right model to analyze everything and to assess everything, and that's why also our job, recruiters, is even more interesting now. But it's not only about sorting out CVs or sourcing candidates and then interviewing and setting up like other interviews. Uh, and I'm glad AI arrived, even though it seems scary some at some point. But I think it brings so much stuff when you are using it properly, and it makes you think differently. And it's a total other world, new world. Of course, there is like some negative impact on many aspects, but still, it's exciting.
Right. Yeah, it's a very exciting time. It's honestly by far the most exciting time to have ever been in TA. Like, I'll be honest,
Probably
like
yes.
the AI over the past couple of years has sort of reignited a passion that I feel like I was sort of losing in talent acquisition because it's just like the tech was so stale.
Yeah,
And like you saw all this innovation and money being invested into like revenue based tools. And then with TA, we were still dealing with these like cruddy ATS systems that
yeah,
you know that you're just sort of like you feel stuck with. It's like, okay, we're trying to create
exactly.
automation with, and then you end up like trying to use the applicant tracking system in a way it wasn't designed for by creating your own custom stuff. And it's like, it was just kind of, it was just very underwhelming. But
Yeah, I
now the
agree.
things that we can do, it's just like, it's so much more interesting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So I don't know, it's cool. I would love to just, you know, maybe zoom out a little bit uh and talk to you just as a talent acquisition leader, somebody who's been, very successful, worked for one of the most successful scale up organizations in Europe, several promotions over the past few years. For as other talent acquisition leaders are tuning in that want to be the best version of themselves, the best professional possible, as successful as possible in their roles, what would you say is like your top takeaways when it comes to being successful as a head of TA for a scale up organization?
That's a very interesting question. Uh, I would say we've just talked about it. It means so AI is something we can't avoid. So be curious. I think you should think each time you are working on a specific task, you should think about how AI could help me make even better decisions, even faster, while keeping the right level of fairness, quality, and candidate experience. This is crucial.
Perfectly said. That was perfectly said.
This is the spine of everything we are doing within the TA field, I would say. So this is extremely important. You are not avoiding AI. Then I think candidate experience is absolutely crucial, and the very challenging stuff to do is uh, whatever the number of people you have to hire every month, from 5 to 50, whatever, every candidates, you should do everything in your hiring model to be sure like candidates do not even think about the fact you are also dealing with dozens of candidates in parallel. So every candidate must feel, I'm not saying we are doing things perfectly, not at all. We receive bad reviews quite a few times. We are not doing things perfectly, but still, this is our motto or our goal, our North Star. We want every candidate to feel special, even though we are dealing with hundreds of candidates, talking about the 25-ish recruiters in the team at the same time. So this is the most challenging stuff we have to do. Same level of quality, candidates experience wise, whatever the number of people you have to hire. For instance, since May 1st, sorry, we have hired so far 36 or 37 people. We receive from these people between 4 and 5 out of a score of 5. So the candidate satisfaction survey, all of them ranked us like between 4.2 and 4.8 out of 5. And sometimes we always receive very good score from candidates we've just KO'd. And I
Yeah.
think the way also you KO people, this is the other thing I
Yeah.
want to.
Hey, so KO, sorry, what do you mean?
Sorry, when you reject someone,
Okay, got it. Yeah.
when you tell someone we won't continue with your application, not especially at the screening, the resume screening phase, but only maybe after 3, 5, 4 interviews, it is very difficult to receive a very good score, even though you tell someone I don't want you. So this is also a
Yeah.
crucial thing to work on, and I'm pretty proud of the team because they are very good at many, many, many things, but especially at uh, telling people in the end we won't pursue with your application, and then the candidates still say, "Okay, I understand. Thank you for for the hiring process."
Yeah. Yeah, I
This
think
is
that that's
something
that's that's critical. That's something that actually, yeah, I talked to my team about too. Like we at one of our customers, there was actually somebody that we passed on 2 years ago. This on the RPO business. And then this person happened to reapply 2 years later, and we ended up hiring. The customer ended up hiring her because the skill set aligned, the role profile had changed. So I think that that speaks a lot to the process. The other thing that's always nice to see is like the boomerang hires, as like do you guys use that term in France? You know that one?
I understand it, but we don't use it that often.
Oh,
At least
okay.
not at Qonto.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like when people leave and then they come back to your company.
We call it the boomerang employee.
Boomerang, yeah, hire. Oh, sorry, employee, hire, yeah. But anyways,
Yeah, whatever.
I feel like that's always like a good sign of like of culture too. It's
Yeah,
you
and
know,
we have more and more. That's a good sign.
yeah, it always feels really special when something like that happens.
Yeah, and you know what? I think high volume recruiting isn't just about doing more of the same. It's a different discipline. The companies that fail at it are the ones that don't even realize they've crossed the line until it's already broken. So I think the recruiting leaders, the TA leaders that succeed know how to standardize, specialize their team, never stop training their hiring managers, because quality isn't just a product of good intentions and scale. It's the result of different systems, rituals, and daily discipline. And I think this is something very important to keep in mind. You need to have the right cockpit to visualize where you stand at that specific moment, to have the right countermeasure. You need to have the good rituals with your team, the right checkpoints to make sure we are doing things properly with different kind of candidates. It's exhausting. It doesn't mean you have to do like micromanagement. It doesn't mean you need to listen to every kind of interviews your talent managers, talent acquisition managers are doing or hiring managers are doing. It's not only about having the right systems and rituals and discipline. To me, that's everything.
I agree. It's very well said. There's been a lot of really good advice here. It says before we finish up today, I just have like I guess is there any other top takeaways you wanted to mention, or do you feel like you covered the ones that matter?
We could talk for hours, but I think for that
You cover
specific one, I think we covered
we
more or
covered.
less everything
Okay,
else.
so then one more question for you. When you think about your own development over the next few years, what do you and I this might be similar to what we've discussed, but how do you want to continue to develop? How do you think about being the best version of yourself professionally over the next few years? Like, where do you want to end up 3 years from now, essentially?
Maybe in 3 years from now, I will still be at Qonto because I really love this company. But all jokes aside, or it's not a joke, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
what you mean.
I think the next step for me, what would be very exciting, because repeating the same kind of experience, meaning joining early stage startup, scaling, and so on, it won't be with the same people. And the reason why I love Qonto so much is also because of the people I'm working with. So I think what would like to do next is to do I don't really like this kind of word, but do some kind of consulting and working hand in hand with other companies, maybe as a headhunter, but not only as a very close advisor when it comes to TA at scaling phase, and share some advice and insights from my very humble and own expertise and experience, to make sure they don't do the same, maybe not mistake, because mistakes are very important, you learn a lot from it, but at least to help them figure it out what they really needs regarding their culture and what point they want to reach. I think that would be the best next step for me.
Yeah, I think you'd be really good at that. I
Thank you.
mean, it's already been a very insightful conversation. So, well, hey, I thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I've had
With pleasure, James.
a lot of fun talking shop with you
Me
and
too. Me too.
learning
What
from
about
you,
you?
frankly, has been really cool. So,
Thank you.
yeah, man, this was a great episode. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.